Hey you guys, it's Miss Arneson here, and this is a video that I hope will be helpful for you who are doing lesson 3 of Science 102 Survival of the Fittest. This is the term 1 class for this school year. If you're getting this emailed to you, that means that you haven't finished term 1 yet. And I don't want you to think that means you're going to fail the whole year. It means that right now is the time to get started so that you can get at least a half credit before the end of the year, which I totally think is possible if you have the time and dedication to sit and do it. So the reason I'm making this video is that I think a lot of students are not willing to write down what they think is the correct answer. Like if they think it's wrong, they're not willing to write it down. And that's not going to work in life or in school, because if you don't give anything, then you can't be evaluated on, you can't be helped. And so you have to give us at least something to go on. So I'm going to make this video to kind of walk you step by step through lesson 3. And I also want you to remember that I'm not going to make a video to walk you through every single lesson. Your boss will not be interested in walking you through every step of your job. You're going to have to take some ownership and do things for yourself. So this is kind of like a baby step to help you get started in the right direction. Also, I will note that the term 1 classes that I made are actually the hardest ones for the whole year. So once you get through those, it'll be easy for you. The reason they're the hardest is because I did not know what I was doing when I made them. It was new to me too. So I've gotten a lot better at being clearer with directions, but I can't redo the whole thing because that would erase everyone else's work. So and your work too if you've done any. So let's go ahead, and I want to look at lesson 3 for this. A couple of things I want you to know is in order to look at your grades, I can never figure it out from this home screen because I'm not very smart. But if you go to your classes screen, you can click on, oops, that's the calendar. Oh no. If you go to the classes, you can click on this little clipboard, and when you do that, it'll tell you all of your grades. So I, of course, have made this up. This is like totally not my grade actually because I'm the teacher, but it is a bunch of information that I can look at to tell what I need to do more on. If you have less than 70%, so out of 10 points, that would be less than 7, you probably want to redo the assignment to get higher than 7 because that's how you're going to make sure to pass. But this one is about lesson 3. I think a lot of people are having difficulties with this one, and that is okay. I want to walk you through it. So the first thing you do is you click on the lesson. One thing I'll tell you guys is that if you go to it straight from, like if you click on it straight from the to-do page, I think it doesn't bring up the whole lesson. So you have to go through the classwork tab or click on this. You have to click on view details. You can't just click on this or it won't have all the resources. So go to view details. Here's some notes for me about still being able to do this assignment for full credit. But we do need to open this one right here, your work. So see how it says your work? Sometimes if I have not or if you got a 0 on it, or if I have not given it back to you, you might have to go to add or create, or it might say something like make a copy. And any way that you're going to do it, you want to make sure that you're clicking in this upper hand corner, because then it'll save a copy that's just for you and it won't have anybody else's work in it or be blank or anything like that. It's just your assignment. It'll save it with your name. So this assignment is about natural and artificial selection. These things are similar in some ways because they're both types of selection, but what does selection mean? And what's the difference between natural and artificial? So right away when you look at the beginning, the title of this assignment, it should give you some clues. Now, one thing I've noticed is that when I'm Zooming with students, a lot of times I just read to them the directions that are online, but I read them and then they do like really well. So you need to just practice reading the directions for yourself. If it's helpful to read them out loud, do that. Okay, purpose. This assignment has 3 parts. The first part is about artificial selection, and the reason is because I think it's easier to understand. The second part is about natural selection because that's how evolution has happened throughout nature for the history of our planet. And then the third part's going to ask you to compare, which means find similarities, and contrast them, which means find differences. Okay, ancestors of modern agriculturally grown foods. So ancestors, of course, means living creatures in the past. So like your ancestors would be like your great grandparents. Maybe your family is from Spain, so you have ancestors in Spain. So this means a long time ago, your distant relatives. So this is a fruit that we eat in modern times. So let's say you think it is a guava. Okay, it's not a guava. I'm not going to give away the answer. All you need to do is write guava. Okay, that's it. So you don't have to write, I think this is a guava. Just say what you think its ancestor is. So this is obviously some kind of plant too. What kind of plant kind of looks like this? Or could this be the ancestor of? And then here's some kind of animal and another kind of animal. And you just have to guess. You get all your credit just for guessing. So that's easy. That's the warm up. Okay, now we get to artificial selection. Here's what I think you should do when you're trying to write little notes, because sometimes kids have a difficult time. They just want to copy exactly what was in the article. And if you do that, that's plagiarism. And if you do that, it won't show me that you learned everything. Like it will just look like you copied and pasted. So here's my recommendation. Okay, open up the article. This is a Nat Geo article on pigeons, because pigeons are an artificially selected animal. So there's ancestors of pigeons back throughout history, but now we have pigeons that are a certain way. And the reason is because humans have made them that way. So you just read about it, and it's going to tell you about what is artificial selection. So the vocabulary tab is another cool tool to look, because if you're not sure what a word means, like naturalist, which is a bonus point question on this assignment, I believe, then you can find it right here. Okay, so when you read this, I would just read the first paragraph. In laying out the evidence for this theory of evolution by natural selection in his 1859 book On the Origin of Species, the British naturalist and biologist Charles Darwin highlighted the physical traits and behaviors of several species of bird called finches. During a voyage in the 1830s, Darwin had observed these birds on the Galapagos Island, a group of islands in the Pacific Ocean west of South America. Okay, so I would stop looking at the paragraph and think about what I remember. What I remember is that Charles Darwin used finches to help him figure out evolution. There you go. Okay, now you've got something to write over here, and then you can just do that for the next paragraph, sometimes summed up by the phrase blah blah blah. Then you can put that over here in the notes. Okay, do the same thing for natural selection. This one I think is a YouTube video instead. I strongly recommend you do some pausing, because that'll help you out. This video has so much good information in it. Like, honestly, the only thing you ever need to explain what evolution is in this video. It does such a good job. I love this series of videos that Stated Clearly has made. So you just write those notes there. Pause every once in a while. What do you remember? Write it down. Doesn't have to be exact. If you misspell something, it will show you by red underlining it, and then you can just change it by double clicking onto your pad if you have a Chromebook, or you could right click if you have a mouse. Okay, part 3 is comparing and contrasting. Now, later times when I have made one of these, I have gone and I've said, okay, I'm just going to put the answers down below, and the students are going to copy and paste it into the boxes, because this is something that you guys had a really hard time doing. So don't feel bad if you have difficulty filling this out. Basically, I have started filling it out myself. So there's artificial selection and natural selection. Those are the two topics we're comparing. If you're not sure about a double bubble, this is a video that kind of goes into the components of it, but you don't really need that. You can actually just fill this out with the similarities in the middle and then the differences over here, but the differences have to be opposite of each other. So let me show you what I mean in a second. Okay, so the artificial selection and natural selection are both mechanisms of evolution. That's what's in this middle box. Mechanism, I put, means ways that it can happen. So if you don't remember a word like mechanism, because you're not a science teacher that has a whole bunch of vocabulary words like me, because I read like all the time about science, you can just say ways that it happens. You can say natural selection and artificial selection are both ways that evolution can occur. Both ways that evolution can happen. And that would actually be your first sentence of your paragraph down here, because that would be finding the similarities. Okay, another one, natural random changes in DNA are called blank, are responsible for the diversity of traits. Okay, so I have gone over this in this lesson and in another lesson. It tells you about what word goes there, so I can't tell you what goes on the blank. What you need to do is, if it's, sometimes you have to right click on it, or it would be double click, right, if you have the Chromebook, and then go down to edit. Mine is already set to be able to edit, so I just have to click on it one time and then click down here on edit. If you're having trouble with that, Zoom me real quick. It's so fast to fix. Okay, you can't type in these boxes until you open this up, and then you can click on it and then you can type directly in the box. So right here, once I figure out what that word is, I will type it out right here, and that's how you get your point for finding the similarity. Okay, then artificial selection. Humans are going to select the favorable traits. So like in pigeons, humans are going to select the pigeons that can basically find their way home, right? The ones with a really good sense of direction, or they want them to look a certain way. So that's what humans are selecting the traits. In nature, nature is not going to select a bird for something that helps humans out. So natural selection has a different word that goes here. And whatever word you put here, if it's right, I mean, I'm thinking of a specific word, but if yours is correct and it makes sense, I'll give you the point, even if it's not what I was thinking. Okay, then here's another opposite one. Domesticated animals like broccoli and dogs are examples. Okay, what's an example of natural selection? So think back in our video, anything that was talked about with natural selection, you can put in here as an example. So anything from the video that was naturally selected, you can put right here. Okay, now the other thing is you have to find one more thing that's similar and one more thing that is different. So what I think you should do is put in the middle, and I know I'm just giving you this answer, but you're watching the video, so you've earned it by watching it. Okay, so right here I would put, it takes time, many generations. So you can't do either type of evolution overnight. It takes a long time to evolve a whole population. But you can also put artificial selection. Is it going to take more or less time than natural selection? And is natural selection going to take more or less time than artificial selection? So you have to decide, should you put more time here or more time here, and then takes less time or takes less time. But in the middle, you can put takes time, generation. So they both take time, but which one takes more? Which one can happen the fastest? So I want you guys to go ahead and fill those boxes in that way. If you've already done this section and you got full points on it, don't worry about it. Then down at the bottom, you have to write a paragraph. And I've given you guys some directions on how to write a good compare and contrast paragraph. The reason I have done that is because a lot of times students do not do the contrast part. They'll compare really well, but they'll forget to put the differences. When you put differences, you have to say natural selection is like this, but artificial selection is like this. So if you just talk about natural selection, you're not contrasting because you haven't said what it's different than. So that's why I am giving you these directions here. So go ahead and do your best. Turn in what you have, and I will give you feedback. If you don't get over a 7, then you can fix it and earn more points. That way you can make sure that you're getting 70s on your assignments. That's what you have to have at minimum to pass the class. Okay, guys, I hope this is helpful. Have a beautiful day, and Zoom me, call me, text me. I'm always here. Well, not always. Like if you text me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm asleep. Actually, I go to bed early, so probably before 7, text me, okay?